What's up everybody, this is the Hedge Mage and I'm back again for another pauper video talking about all the new commons coming in the new set, Murders at Karlov Manor. So today I'm going through my top 3 new black cards from the set. As always, if you would like to support the channel, if you could leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, so coming in at number 3, we have Unscrupulous Agent for 1 generic mana and a black. It's an elf detective. When Unscrupulous Agent enters the battlefield, target opponent exiles a card from their hand. It's a 1/1. So this card, I really want to like this card. It's it's pretty good for the mana cost and for what it does. The fact that it has an enter the battlefield ability is definitely a card that we could abuse to eat away at a huge chunk of our opponent's hand, and the fact that those cards go to exile and not the graveyard does have my interest peak at least a little bit. It's also an elf, so if that was maybe something I wanted to do in an elf deck, it could be a card that sits in the sideboard. Currently, in the elf decks that I have been kind of brewing or playing around with, it's not really something that I'm going to be putting in there. But I'm definitely keeping my eye on this card. It could be something that you might want in some mono black control lists, but is it really going to replace anything that you're already working with? I don't necessarily think so, which is why I'm putting it at number 3 today. Coming in at number 2, I have Snarling Gorehound for 1 black. It is a dog, it has a menace. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, surveil 1. It's a 1/1. And this card actually seems very, very powerful. I'm honestly a little surprised that it got the common rarity. The fact that it has an ability that happens whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield instead of whenever one or more creatures, like, this is pretty powerful. So any deck where you want or don't mind cards being in the graveyard, I mean, this is just kind of amazing, honestly. I'm don't but the other thing is, it's like, where does this card go? There's not really a deck right now that's where this card would be beneficial. So maybe there is a new deck, like maybe like some Suicide Black deck, or possibly Orzhov Weenie or something of that effect that is gonna want to use this card, because basically you could put Prismatic Strands into your graveyard with this, and then tap an untap white creature to cast it. Or there's other cards that you could then cast out of your graveyard, the cards with flashback, this sort of thing. So that is honestly pretty interesting that you're able to kind of manipulate what goes on top of your library or in your graveyard. Also, being able to make sure that the next card that you draw is going to be actually a useful card is also pretty nice. So this card does a lot. It is also a 1/1 menace. And menace is definitely something that you can do a lot with, since it has to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. So you can really use this to your advantage to try and get more damage through. Well, this card honestly is very strong. I definitely see a lot of potential with it. But then again, where does it go? There's not really a deck right now, at least to my knowledge, that wants this. So potentially this card could help spawn a new archetype. I personally would love to see that. But yeah, number 2 card for today. And my number 1 card from the new black cards from this set is Slice from the Shadows for X generic mana and 1 black. It's an instant and it can't be countered. Target creature gets -X until end of turn. So this is one of the other new cards coming in at the common rarity that can't be countered, and it is just wild to me that we are getting spells that can't be countered now. It's just that I never really thought that I would see that happen because a lot of those cards have, for the most part, from what I remember, either been uncommon or rare. So the fact that we have commons now that can't be countered is absolutely insane. So this is some, but on the other side, this is some very, very awkward removal. It's like you have to pump a lot of mana into this. And so I don't necessarily think that there are a ton of decks that are going to want to use this card. I have heard there's a bit of a fringe Tron list that I have heard of that I think might actually be able to play this card and may actually really like having it there, which is Mono Black Tron, which is not one of the main types of Tron lists that you see. Essentially, this style of deck is kind of like if Monster Tron or Mono Green Tron and Mono Black Control kind of had a baby. It's kind of an interesting fringe deck where they have a lot of removal and then really big creatures that they end up swinging at you with, and lots of ramp. Obviously, it's Tron. It's what Tron does. So Tron is really the only card that's going to make use out of this because what kind of removal spell do you want to not be countered? Probably one that you're trying to remove a Tolarian Terror with. So you're probably gonna be casting this for seven or so mana to try and get rid of a Tolarian Terror before they get unexpected fangs put on it. And they won't be able to counter this, so their ward ability will also not be relevant when you're playing this card, which is really cool that it can bypass war, it can bypass all these counter spells. And one of the only ways to stop something like this is by blinking your creature, and as it stands right now, decks that run Tolarian Terror aren't running those types of spells. So they're not going to really be able to interact with this. Is this going to pump Mono Black Tron to the stratosphere? Probably not, but it will be a good tool for them, and they are probably the only deck that will be able to use it. And that's going to be about it for this video, guys. So what do you think about my picks today? Would you rank them the same way, or are there cards that I did not cover that are new to the format from this set? Let me know in the comments section below, and I will see you all next time.